All right, ready to dive deep? Today it's mind power, but hold on, with a twist. We're not just like floating on good vibes.
Right, right.
We're going for real world prosperity, especially money, that financial abundance everyone's after.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our guide, get this, John Coe, this guy, he walked away from a successful business.
What?
Yep, to live solo in the Canadian wilderness for 3 years. Can you imagine?
3 years. Wow.
Mhm.
That's something else. He's not your, typical self-help guru then. Like, he had the success, but
Exactly. So, for everyone listening, I'm guessing you're here because you want to know how these mind power principles actually work, right?
right.
Especially for financial success. And the sources we're using today, they get into the nitty-gritty of these principles. Some of it is pretty surprising, actually.
Yeah, it's not just think positive and poof, you're rich. John Coe, he's adamant that our thoughts are vibrations.
Vibration.
Vibrations of energy. And they interact with the universe.
Whoa, hold on. Like, our thoughts are actually shaping reality?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He even points to scientific research, like this experiment with basketball players.
Oh, I think I've heard of that. They had, like, different groups, right? Some practiced, some didn't.
Yeah, 3 groups. One practicing on the court, normal stuff. Another group, no practice at all.
Control group.
And the third, only mental practice. Visualizing making those shots over and over.
Okay, so after a while, the group who practiced, their scores went up, obviously.
Obviously. The no practice group, no change.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The mental practice group improved just as much as the physical practice group.
No way, just by imagining.
It blew my mind too. So think about it. Our subconscious can't really tell the difference between real practice and imagined practice.
So then, if we can improve skills just by thinking about them, what about other areas of life? Finances, for example.
Exactly. That's the implication.
Okay, all right, so our thoughts have power, got it. But John Coe, he doesn't stop there. He's big on trust, like trusting life, even when you're making big decisions and you don't know the outcome.
Yeah, and he's not just talking. This guy lived it. Left a super successful career as a rock and roll promoter.
Rock and roll, wow, okay, that's a change.
He just had this feeling, like deep down, that he had to make a change. Didn't know what he'd be doing next, but he knew it was time to go.
That's a huge leap of faith.
Absolutely. It took courage, right? Walking away from something comfy to dive into the unknown.
I can't even imagine.
But for him, that jump led him to develop this whole mind power program. Helped tons of people, which leads us to something I know you were curious about, that whole prosperity consciousness idea.
Right, yeah, let's break that down. What even is prosperity consciousness?
It's not like wishing to be rich. It's deeper, a mindset, seeing the world differently, recognizing that the universe, it's abundant, and then aligning your beliefs and actions with that.
Okay, so it's like abundance is there, but we got to get on the same wavelength.
Exactly. He lays out like 5 steps to cultivate this.
Yeah.
But the sources, they focus on the first 3, the foundation.
All right, let's hear him. Those first 3 steps to prosperity consciousness. What's step 1?
Step 1 is all about abundance. Recognizing that it is there, opportunities for success are everywhere, even places you never expect.
He gives this example, right? A millionaire who built his wealth through, wait for it, backpacker hostels. Not exactly Wall Street high finance.
Oh, not at all. That's the point.
Yeah.
Success can come from anywhere, not just the traditional paths.
Yeah.
So be open to possibilities. See that abundance is all around.
I love that. Okay, so step 1, abundance is everywhere. What about step 2?
Step 2, get this, it's about staggering opportunities. Like, they're everywhere. John Coe, he's adamant that you got to find your calling, that thing you're truly passionate about.
So it's not just chasing money. It's more about what passion meets opportunity.
Right. And this is huge for you, listening, right? You mentioned wanting to create more financial abundance.
For sure, yeah.
This is where it starts. And then, step 3,
Maybe with step 3,
see success as a duty.
a duty.
Not just personal gain. It's about making a positive impact, using your success to contribute something valuable, unique.
Okay, so aligning your work with a purpose bigger than just yourself.
Yes. Finding that sweet spot where your passions, your skills, and what the world needs, they all intersect. John Coe, he's convinced that when you find that alignment, financial abundance, it just follows. Like it's a natural outcome.
I like where this is going, but how do we actually PT these principles into practice? One thing that jumped out at me from the sources was imprinting.
Imprinting, yeah, powerful stuff. It's like intentionally putting a belief into your subconscious.
He uses this example learning multiplication tables, right? We know them instantly because they were drilled in repetition, repetition.
And he did the same thing, but with a belief. I have unlimited power at my disposal, said it to himself every single day,
Every day.
became as ingrained as like 2 times 2 is 4.
So it becomes part of you.
Exactly. But, and it's honest about this, it wasn't always easy. Some days, excited. Other days, like, am I faking this?
I can see that happening.
That's where the trust comes in again. Trusting the process. Even if you don't feel it 100%, that repetition, it'll shift something in your mind.
This is fascinating. But before we go deeper there, John Coe talks about gratitude. And he has this story, it's wild, about how he went from totally miserable to incredibly grateful, just like that.
Powerful story, yeah. He got this letter from a friend who'd lost his leg in an accident. Suddenly, John Coe's own problems, they seemed so small.
A total perspective shift.
It was, and it made him focus on all he had to be grateful for, even while going through tough times.
Right. Focus on what you have, not what you lack.
And this leads to another practice he pushes, tithing. Giving away a portion of your income, even when you don't think you have a lot to give.
I can see people getting tripped up on that one. Giving when you feel like you're barely scraping by.
Seems counterintuitive, right? But he's convinced that giving, even out of lack, shifts your energy. It helps you overcome that scarcity mindset and tap into abundance. But we should probably unpack tithing a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. For everyone listening, what are your initial thoughts on tithing? Something you'd be willing to try? We're going to dive into the details, the nuances, maybe even some of the challenges in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
So back to tithing. But before we get into that, I think there's something else we got to talk about. It's like this big question when it comes to mind, power, and prosperity. What about our subconscious beliefs about money? Can they, mess things up even if we're doing all the gratitude and imprinting stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like, even if we're working on our conscious thoughts, there's this whole other layer, those deeper beliefs that can be holding us back. We might not even realize it.
Exactly. It's like a hidden program running in the background, shaping our reality when it comes to finances. And the tricky part is these beliefs, they usually form way back in childhood, right?
Yeah, from our families, what we see around us, even just experiences we had as kids.
All right, so we got to dig a little deeper. First, pay attention to that self-talk, the things you're saying to yourself about money. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, like, money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've heard those before. And honestly, I've probably even thought them myself sometimes.
It's super common, more than people realize. Shows how powerful that subconscious programming is. But the good news is we can use those same mind power techniques to rewrite those programs.
So affirmations, visualization, even imprinting can help us create new, better beliefs about money.
Yep. The key is consistency. Just like with those multiplication tables, we got to expose our minds to these new positive beliefs over and over. Make it the default.
It's like we're rewiring our brains for abundance almost.
That's a great way to put it. We're teaching our minds to see money as a tool, something positive, something we deserve to have, something that can flow into our lives abundantly.
Speaking of flow, something that really struck me in the sources was how much John Coe emphasizes overcoming the fear of scarcity. So many of us are stuck in this cycle of striving, never feeling like we have enough.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. The world's constantly bombarding us with messages of scarcity through advertising, the news, social media. It's no wonder we feel this fear of not having enough.
And then that fear, it leads to overwork, always trying to do more, earn more, but never really feeling content.
A vicious cycle. And John Coe, he argues that this fear of scarcity, it actually blocks abundance from coming in. We're operating from a place of lack.
So how do we break free? I remember him saying something about shifting our focus from what we don't have to what we do have.
Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Take time each day to appreciate the things we already have, big or small. It shifts our vibration from lack to abundance.
We're basically retraining our minds to see the good stuff, the fullness in our lives.
And when we feel abundant on the inside, that opens us up to receive even more good things. It's a positive loop.
Which brings us back to tithing, right? Giving, even when we feel strapped, can break us out of that scarcity mindset.
John Coe, he's really clear that tithing isn't meant to be a burden or some religious rule. He sees it as like an act of faith, trusting in the universe's abundance.
But I can imagine it's tough, giving away 10% when you're already worried about money.
Oh, for sure. That's why the mental shift is so important. Think of it as an investment, aligning your actions with your desire for abundance.
And he doesn't say there's like one right way to do it, right?
Nope, not at all. It's more about the spirit of giving. supporting something you believe in, whether it's a charity, a cause, or even helping someone directly. The point is, move beyond that fear of scarcity and step into generosity and trust.
So everyone listening, think about how tithing sits with you. Does it bring up any resistance or maybe curiosity? This could be something to explore on your own. See how it impacts your own feeling of abundance.
Now, let's jump to something else. Remember those destiny callings? We were talking about them earlier. Those times when you feel pulled towards something, even if it doesn't logically make sense.
Yeah, those moments when your gut's telling you to do something, but your head's like, wait, what?
John Coe, he believed those callings are super important to pay attention to.
Like our intuition's trying to guide us toward our best selves, our highest potential, even if it means making some changes that feel scary.
It takes courage to trust those nudges, especially when they lead you off the beaten path. So for everyone listening, think back. Have you ever felt that pull, that knowing, even if you didn't act on it? Maybe this deep dive is bringing it back up.
Yeah, maybe it's a sign to explore those callings a bit more. Now, switching gears a little, what about visualization? We've touched on it, but it seems like a big deal for attracting abundance.
Huge. It's like you're imprinting your desired reality into your mind, your subconscious.
John Coe, he says, to visualize your goals as if they've already happened. Really feel the emotions you'd have if it was already true.
It's not just seeing a picture. It's engaging all your senses. Really embody that feeling of already having what you want.
Like you're sending this message to the universe saying, this is mine, it's already happening.
And the more you do it, the more your mind focuses on what you do want, not what you lack. It aligns you with that abundance frequency.
Okay, so we've talked tons about giving, but John Coe, he also talks about receiving. And how many of us have a hard time with that? Like accepting compliments, gifts, even help from others, it feels awkward.
In that resistance, it blocks abundance.
So how do we get better at receiving?
First, realize that receiving is just as important as giving. It's the other half of that abundance cycle.
It's not about being selfish, it's about letting the good stuff in.
Exactly. It's about feeling worthy, believing you deserve good things. And when you receive with gratitude, you're not just letting yourself be blessed, you're giving the other person the joy of giving.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Now, before we get too far, we got to talk about something that can really sabotage things. Self-sabotage.
Ugh, yeah, self-sabotage. It's like we're unconsciously getting in our own way, preventing ourselves from reaching our goal.
And it shows up in so many sneaky ways. Procrastination, needing things to be perfect, making excuses, even staying in relationships that aren't good for us.
John Coe, he thinks self-sabotage comes from fear. Fear of success, feeling not good enough, maybe a need to stay comfy even when it's hurting us.
So then, how do we break free from that self-sabotage cycle?
First, see it. Pay attention to the patterns, the things you do or say that hold you back.
And once you see it, you can start asking yourself, why am I doing this? What's the fear underneath?
Right, and then start replacing those limiting beliefs with ones that empower you. Like, instead of, I can't, maybe it's, I'm learning.
And it helps to have practical strategies too, right? Setting realistic goals, breaking things down into smaller steps, finding people who support you.
Yep, create an environment where you can grow and you've got people to help you stay accountable.
Okay, next up, taking responsibility for our financial well-being. It's easy to blame others or make excuses, but John Coe's clear. We create our own financial reality.
It's not about blame, though. It's about realizing you have the power to make choices that will get you where you want to be financially.
Like making a budget, tracking spending, learning about investing, maybe even talking to a financial advisor.
Being proactive, owning your finances instead of feeling like a victim.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about the law of attraction. It's been super popular lately. The idea that what you focus on, you bring it into your life.
Right, like attracts like. So if you're always thinking about lack, that's what you'll get more of.
But if you focus on abundance, prosperity, feeling grateful, then you'll attract more of those things.
It's about aligning your energy with what you want and then trusting the universe to deliver.
But I think a lot of people get the law of attraction wrong. They think it's just positive thinking and daydreaming about what you want.
Yeah, that's part of it. But you got to take action too, inspired action. Take those steps toward your goals, even small ones, and the universe will meet you halfway.
Okay, so it's not just sitting around wishing, it's about aligning your actions with your thoughts.
Exactly. So for everyone listening, think about what can you do that aligns with your desire for financial abundance? Maybe it's a side hustle, learning new skills, or even just being more aware of how you spend money.
And speaking of aligning with our desires, John Coe talks a lot about having faith, not just in ourselves, but in something bigger, something that's supporting us.
It's not blind faith or ignoring the practical stuff. It's about believing you're being guided, even when things are tough or uncertain, trusting that it's all working out, even if you don't have all the answers right now.
That's powerful. It can really shift things when you let go of the fear and control and just surrender to something bigger.
And that brings us to something else John Coe talks about, setting financial goals. You got to know what you want in order to attract it.
Can't just wish for more money, right? Gotta be specific.
He's all about SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
So everyone listening, take some time to really think about your financial goals. What do you want to create? How much do you want to earn? What kind of lifestyle are you aiming for? The clearer you are, the easier it is to attract it.
Now let's talk about gratitude journaling. Sounds simple, but it's seriously powerful.
Yeah, just taking a few minutes each day to write down what you're grateful for.
John Coe suggests at least 3 things every day. Doesn't matter how small they seem.
It could be a good meal, a sunny day, a conversation with someone you love.
The point is to train your mind to see the good, the abundance that's already there.
And as you feel more grateful, you attract more good things.
It's like sending a signal to the universe. I'm ready for more blessings.
All right, before we move on, let's talk about the people we surround ourselves with. John Coe's really clear that our relationships affect our mindset, our energy.
If you're around negative people, always complaining, doubting your dreams, their energy can drag you down. Makes it way harder to attract abundance.
But if you're with positive, supportive people, people who believe in you, their energy lifts you up, inspires you.
So choose your relationships wisely. Connect with people who make you feel good, who encourage you to be your best self.
So for everyone listening, think about the people in your life. Who energizes you, who supports you, and who drains your energy? Maybe it's time to make some changes. Prioritize relationships that match your desire for abundance and joy.
Which brings us to something really important, belief.
Mhm.
John Coe, he's adamant that our beliefs create our reality.
If you believe you can achieve great things, you're more likely to take the steps to make it happen.
But if you believe you're limited, unworthy, those beliefs will hold you back, even if you really want to succeed.
So figure out what those limiting beliefs are and replace them with beliefs that support your growth.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Can we attract abundance overnight?
Right, everyone wants the quick fix.
While it's possible to get lucky, true prosperity, it usually takes consistent effort, time. Stay committed to your goals, even when you hit bumps in the road.
John Coe says to see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, not as failures.
Stay focused on your vision, keep taking action, and trust that the universe is working with you every step of the way.
Okay, before we get to the final part of our deep dive, let's talk about taking care of ourselves physically. John Coe emphasizes that it's key for attracting abundance.
Makes sense. When you're healthy, you've got more energy, you're more productive, creative, motivated.
It's about nourishing your body, getting enough sleep, moving your body.
Treating your body with respect.
And when you take care of yourself physically, it sets you up for success in all areas of life.
Now let's get into another powerful concept. Intention. It's like the engine behind making things happen.
It's about setting a clear goal and putting your energy behind it, not just a vague wish, but a real focus.
John Coe says, write down your intentions, visualize them, feel the emotions as if they're already happening.
By setting that intention, you're basically asking the universe to help you make it real.
Right. Now, before we wrap up this part, remember how we were talking about intuition and destiny callings? Can we just use logic and reason to create financial success?
It seems like it would be pretty hard to just logic your way to abundance.
John Coe says logic and reason are important, but don't forget your intuition.
He thinks intuition is this powerful source of wisdom, especially when making big decisions.
Listen to your gut feelings, those hunches that might not make sense at first.
Sometimes intuition leads us down paths we wouldn't expect, paths that our logical minds might resist.
Right. It might challenge what you think you know, but remember, intuition often knows things your conscious mind doesn't.
So trust that inner guidance, even when it feels weird.
Usually when you follow your intuition, you end up in the right place at the right time, making choices that lead to success and feeling fulfilled.
Okay, before we go to the last part of our deep dive, let's take a minute to think about everything we've talked about. What's sticking with you? What feels most important? For everyone listening, what are your takeaways from this exploration of mind power and prosperity? We'll be back in a bit to wrap it all up with some final thoughts. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into John Coe and all this mind power stuff. We've covered a lot of ground, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts, trust, gratitude, even those destiny callings. But I got to say, I keep thinking about John Coe's story. This successful businessman walks away from it all to live in the wilderness for years. What did he learn out there that led him to these principles? That's a question, isn't it? And I think one of the big takeaways, not just from his story, but from all these sources, is that real success, the kind that lasts, it's not about the stuff you can see, the money or the status. It's more about like finding that alignment within yourself, with your passions, what you're meant to do, your values.
And he actually warns against focusing too much on the doing. That constant striving, pushing, especially when you're going after those financial goals. It can be all-consuming.
Yeah, he learned that the hard way, that overworking, that always-on mentality, it can actually block you from getting the abundance you want. It's like you're trying to force it instead of letting it flow naturally.
That makes me think of those destiny callings we talked about, when you feel that pull towards something, even if it doesn't make logical sense.
Right. Those callings usually come when you actually slow down, create some space for quiet, for thinking, for listening to that inner voice instead of all the noise out there.
Yeah.
John Coe leaving that rock and roll promoter gig, that's a perfect example. Wasn't logical, but it was a calling,
Yeah.
And look where it led him.
Pretty inspiring, but kind of scary too, right? To trust those nudges when they take you off the main road. What about you listening? Do those destiny callings make sense to you? Have you ever felt that kind of knowing, even if you haven't done anything about it yet?
Maybe this whole deep dive is a nudge for you, Your reminder to listen to that inner voice and see where it takes you. Now, in terms of things you can actually do, John Coe's big on intention. Not just wishing for stuff, but setting a clear, specific intention, putting your energy behind it, and taking action.
It's like planting a seed, right? And then taking care of it, knowing that if you create the right environment, it'll grow into something amazing.
Perfect analogy. And one of the most important parts of that environment is what we've been talking about this whole time, creating that mindset of abundance, knowing you're worthy of receiving good things, letting go of those old beliefs about money that hold you back, and practicing things like gratitude and giving.
And I love that John Coe isn't about chasing some external idea of success. It's more about finding that true fulfillment, connecting with your passions, making a positive impact.
He's convinced that when you do that, the financial abundance, it just comes naturally. It's not the main goal. It's like a side effect of living in alignment with your purpose.
So we've explored a lot. For everyone listening, what's really resonating with you? What feels like your next step on this journey towards a more abundant life?
Remember, success isn't a finish line. It's an ongoing journey. It's about constantly growing, learning, becoming more of who you're meant to be.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it helpful, maybe even inspiring. And we'll be back next time to explore another fascinating topic. Until then, keep those good vibes flowing.